guys, and welcome back to the channel. Tonight on Braid School, I'm going to show you how to get the boho braid look for less than $12. That's right, less than $12. Originated by Miss Analia Sanchez right here on YouTube, these mermaid braids are, in my opinion, more manageable and more versatile than human hair braids. While I'm going to show you my process today step by step, I highly urge you to check out her channel full of tutorials and tips dedicated to this look. Before we get started, let's acknowledge the correct answers from last video's pop quiz. You guys are on fire, so let's keep it going. To participate in this week's quiz and a chance to be featured on the next video, stay tuned to the end. If you're new here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, grab your notes, and let's get started. All right, for today's look, you're only gonna need 2 packs of Expressions braiding hair. I got 2 packs of 42 inches. They run about $5.99 a pack, making it about $12 total for all the hair that you're gonna need for this look. So definitely budget friendly. Here's a look at how I prepped the hair. I prepped all 6 bundles on one side of my 120 spool rack. So I overlap my hair just so I can fit everything on one side, especially if I have multiple clients in that day. But if you're not sure about how much hair you want to use, practice with a braid or two to see how thick you want it to be. Welcome to the channel, our model Riri. She is already washed and prepped and ready to go. As the creator specified, it's not necessary to leave any hair out on the first row or 2 because we know that the nape area is the part that gets tangled and matted up faster because it comes into more contact with your skin and sweat and other things of that sort. So the first row I didn't put any hair out. The second row I do have some hair out. Another thing to keep in mind is that trimming as you go along will save you time, especially as you start to add more hair in. So with each row, I used my razor comb to manage the length and make sure that everything was trimmed up and layered as I was going along. So most of the time when we do knotless braids, we don't really count how many pieces we add in. We add in the pieces based on the client's hair density and the desired look of the braid. However, if you're the type of person who needs a set count on how many to put in, today is your day because I did a set count of 5 pieces per braid and I did them in 2 different methods. The first method I'm showing you here now, I started by braiding down her natural hair first, a couple of rotations. Then I'm adding in my first piece of hair. Now I'm adding in my second piece of hair. And now I have my third piece of hair. Now if we are using the rule of 3, this is where I would stop and add as I go, but we want to make sure that we're adding hair that's left out. So in the 4th piece, I'm going to go ahead and add that in like I would a normal feed in. I'm going to braid down until that piece is locked in, and then when I get to my right strand, I'm going to release a good chunk of that hair out. Now, however much you leave out is totally up to you, but for a very full look, you want to leave out about the size of one leg. Now, as I'm braiding down, I'm off on my legs. You can see one is thicker and the 2 are smaller. This is where I'm going to add my 5th piece. And that's just going to keep the braid consistent as I'm up higher on the braid. And to determine where I left a piece of hair out, I just used a rule of 3 with my fingers, and that's how I just managed where to leave the hair out. And then as you start leaving more hair out, the hair is going to start tapering. So here I left out another piece. And for each braid, I think I left out about 4 to 5 pieces of hair because I wanted this to be a really full look, but however much you leave out is totally up to you. Now as you get to the end of the braid, this is where borrowing becomes important because you're going to have legs that are smaller than the rest and you want to keep that braid consistent. So you see I'm borrowing from that right leg and bringing it over to the middle leg, and I'll do it much slower here. So you can see, you see that right leg, that's my smaller one I'm bringing to the middle. And then I'm grabbing a small piece of that right one there and adding it to that middle piece that was coming around. And now I have 3 even legs. And this step is optional. I just seal the ends with my flat iron turned up to 450 degrees. It's optional, but I prefer to do it that way because I feel like the braid doesn't move as much when it's sealed at the bottom. Now for the second technique, I'm gonna still start her braid with her natural hair because her hair is thick, you guys. And when I add in my first leg of hair, instead of using it as a full feed in for 2 legs, I'm just going to leave 1 leg out. For my second piece, I'm going to attach it to 2 legs because I don't want to leave any hair out right here. I want to give it a couple inches before I leave some more hair out. Now for my third piece, and I'm just going to continue braiding. If you do it this way, you're going to be able to feel which legs are the smallest ones. So whenever I get to a small one, I make sure it is my middle leg. Then I go in for my fourth piece. And instead of attaching it to both legs, I'm going to leave 1 leg out and continue braiding. So now I have 2 large legs and 1 small leg. I'm going to keep braiding down until I get another small middle leg, and then I'm going to add my 5th piece and leave 1 leg out. And then I just continue braiding per usual. If I have extra volume at the bottom, I'll continue to leave out a couple of legs because I already have 3 that are out. And don't forget, borrowing will make for a much more seamless look. Now this step is optional, but per the creator, it is a vital part of the process. And I see why, because what you want to do is remove as much texture as you can from the braiding hair. And we do this by applying direct heat. Using a flat iron, you don't want to go above, I would say, 310 degrees. On this setting, I'm at 300 degrees, but test out your hair first because all brands are different. Test it out with your flat iron first before you start installing, because once you start pressing stuff and burning stuff, there's no going back. But either way, you want to lightly press the hair on a low setting and you'll be able to see the texture being removed from the strands because it'll start to look more silky and it won't look as rough and it won't be sticking together as much. I understand why she said this is a crucial step, because by removing the texture, you also remove the chances of it tangling a lot. Trimming and layering is also another optional step. If you're using the same length braiding hair throughout the hair, you shouldn't have to do too much layering because as you move up the head, the hair gets a little bit shorter. And here's what the hair looks like completely pressed out. The other great benefit of using synthetic braiding hair is the styling options. So not only are we able to press the hair out, we can curl it, we can use a curling iron on low heat. In this case, we're gonna go with the Mermaid Beachy Wave look. It's gonna give that human hair braided look. And to do that, I'm just going to braid down large sections of her hair. And I like to use a different color braiding hair on the ends of these braids because, one, it makes for easier takedown. Whenever you dip braids like this, it gets really tight and stuck together and it can be really hard to take down. So by adding in a couple of feed ins at the bottom, it's easier to take down. Also, I like to do this because it keeps the wave pattern consistent. If you don't add any hair at the end, you'll have a really, really tiny crimp at the end and it tends to get frizzy. So this method works really well for me. Now the next step would be to dip all of the hair in hot water to set the braiding hair. This is a viable option for you if you are doing this on yourself. But if you're a professional and you're working with clients, I urge you to look into getting one of these. This is a travel portable steamer. It's actually made for steaming clothing. So it's great for travel, but coincidentally, it works great for braids too, because not only is it handheld, so it's mobile, it fits in your hand. The clip, it opens wide enough and it's flexible enough to fit braids in, and it heats up super fast. When I press the button, it already starts. So when I wanted to try this style, I was on the hunt for a steamer like this because, to be honest with you, I'm not a big fan of dipping all of her natural hair in boiling hot water. While it might be safe on occasional use, for this particular style, if she wants to change it up often, she would have to re-dip her hair often. And constantly doing that can cause some breakage depending on the person's hair type. So by using this steamer, not only am I able to get higher up towards her scalp with the steam, I'm able to get steam to pass all the way through to the braid and mold the synthetic hair into the desired pattern that we're going for. It is a little bit more of an extra step and time consuming, but I think the benefits outweigh the cost as well. It is a little bit on the pricey side, but you do have to keep in mind it is dual purpose. So not only can you use it for your hair, you can take it on the go with you. If you're a travel braider, this is perfect, especially if you don't have access to water or don't want to lug around a kettle. And you can use it for your clothes. So in my opinion, it is a great investment. Now they do make flat irons that steam. However, the flat irons are direct heat, so I don't really trust those so much because they can singe and burn the hair. Before you loosen the braid, please make sure that the hair is completely cooled off. If you release it when it's still warm, it may not hold the pattern. And here's what it looks like in its final form. I personally would leave it this way, but if you want a more fuller look, yes, you can brush this hair. Remember, we removed a lot of the texture out of it with the flat iron earlier, so yes, it is easy to brush through. And here's the final look, a full goddess look for less than $12, which leads us to today's pop quiz. How many packs of expressions braiding hair did we use for today's look? Leave your correct answers in the comments below for a chance to be featured in our next video. I strongly advise everyone to head over to the originator's page and show her some love. She has a whole slew of videos showing you how to maintain this hair, from washing it to no heat styling on it as well. So make sure you show her some love. And as always, if you've learned something, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up and tell a friend. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button on your way out. And thanks so much for watching today, you guys. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.